I want to talk about circadian rhythm fasting. So what is circadian rhythm fasting, and how is it different from just intermittent fasting?
So circadian rhythm fasting is really trying to do a couple of the things we've already talked about, right? Avoid bumping into your sleep cycle while also intermittent fasting, right? So a lot of people, when they start intermittent fasting, find it extremely easy to omit breakfast. I would say there's a lot of people in the world that just don't care for breakfast. They're not ready to eat that early in the morning, but they will eat a fairly good sized lunch and maybe a really big dinner. Like, what do they say? Oh, it's the opposite of that. Well, if you've ever heard somebody say, "Eat like a king for breakfast, eat like a prince for lunch, and eat like a pauper for dinner," right?
So it's going back to that old-fashioned wisdom. So circadian rhythm intermittent fasting takes, so let's say that you are doing 12-hour intermittent fast. So you're going to eat from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. What intermittent fasting will do is tighten that window up and maybe do an 8-hour eating window where you end at 3 p.m. And maybe you go to bed late, so you end at 4 p.m. But it's extending the amount of time between your last meal of the day and when you go to sleep.
Yes.
And so that increases the amount of time that your body has for detoxification processes. But we posted a link to this study, but the University of Alabama did this study, and it was a small group of pre-diabetic obese men. And some of them did the 8-hour window I just mentioned, so 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And the other part of them did a traditional 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., kind of what we're pretty used to is a standard intermittent fast. So what they found, that both groups maintained weight. So keep in mind, these are pre-diabetic men, so they've got metabolic inefficiencies.
Right.
So they did the intermittent fasting, but the 8-hour group had some really interesting changes to their biomarkers. They had a dramatically lower insulin levels.
Okay.
They significantly improved their insulin sensitivity. They lowered their blood pressure.
Wow.
And they had reduced appetite compared to the 12-hour window. So while a lot of people find traditional intermittent fasting to be challenging, it could be that circadian rhythm intermittent fasting doesn't challenge your hunger as much.
Yeah. Oh, well, that would be good. The thing I find interesting about this is, so it's not about keto. This is just about
intermittent fasting,
right?
Yes.
Dramatically lower insulin levels. Why is that important? For keto, being in ketosis requires hormone-sensitive lipase, HSL, to produce ketones. So hormone-sensitive lipase helps make ketones in the body, but it's the hormone that it's sensitive to is insulin. So when insulin levels are high, HSL cannot be high, right? So bringing your insulin levels down helps you get into ketosis faster. So this is a way to say, like, this type of circadian rhythm intermittent fasting could be really good for getting you into ketosis faster and helping you stay there.
That's a great hypothesis. Who wants to test that out? So circadian rhythm intermittent fasting, the difference really is just about the time of day that you stop eating. You're stopping eating maybe 3 or 4 p.m., which means you might start eating earlier in the day. But shifting that and giving your body a longer window before you go to sleep, it makes sense. Sleep is our rest and restore cycle. Yeah. So that's really when our body is powerfully going through detoxification. So if we can kind of give it a jump start earlier in the day, and when we actually go to sleep, our body's primed and ready to go in and detoxify, it really makes sense that could be powerful. So I expect to see that really becoming a more and more talked about throughout the year.